What is up, you guys? I'm Lee, and today I'm here to talk to you about depression. A bit of background on why I'm here doing this, talking about my experience with depression. I'm in a class called Civic Participation. And for that class, each student was told to pick a topic that they found interesting, and me, being the weird, sad little shit I am, picked mental illness. I'm gonna be really frank, I'm leaving a few details out, and by that, I mean a lot. I don't like going into the gory details online because I used to when I was younger and, it just wasn't healthy or smart at all. I was diagnosed with depression when I was in 8th grade as far as I remember, but I didn't do anything about it until I was a freshman in high school. Even before 8th grade, I was bad. I was really bad. When I was in 6th grade, I was a mess. I was confused, and I felt alone, and I felt like no one really gave a shit about me. Through middle school, it got worse and worse, and I was done with everything. Around that time was when I first started questioning my gender and sexuality, and just everything revolving around that, and I didn't know how to handle it. I had just learned that there were people who didn't identify with the sex they were born as, and I was confused at that time. I felt like maybe I didn't fit in with what I was born as, and I started questioning that when I was getting older and going through the hell we all know as puberty, and that sure as hell didn't help anything. I had a few friends, all of them were older than me, and a few of them were also really bad with their own issues. A lot of them had depression, and a lot of them were in really bad mental spaces. They were thinking in ways that were really unhealthy, and I was picking up on that, and I started doing things that I thought would help because they did. And I'm not gonna go into detail about what those are, but I can say flat out, I regret doing it, and, sorry, I'm a little bit sick, and that I really wish I hadn't, and that I wish I'd known that the behaviors that I was picking up from them were really unhealthy, because I didn't know. And I wish, as I said, I wish I had. I really wish I'd known. Because if I'd known at the time how horrible doing those things was, I don't think I would have done them. When I got to high school, my first year was at a boarding school. I was in another state, away from my family, and it was incredibly freeing. I felt like I was finally independent and that I could be whoever I wanted. But that didn't change how I was feeling. I still felt bad. Now, I know a part of my depression at this point was caused by gender dysphoria, because that was a period in time when I was convinced that if I wasn't a girl, I was a boy, but that's not the most important thing in the world right now in this conversation, because I know myself that I am neither of those things now, and I'm willing to be open about it, and I'm willing to talk about the dysphoria I get, but that's a tale for another day. I still felt alone, just as alone as I did in middle school. I stopped going to class for a solid few weeks. That was a few weeks straight. I stopped going to class regularly. I refused to talk to my parents. I never showered. I was disgusting. I never cleaned my dorm room, and I only ever left to get meals or to go to the school counselor, because I couldn't motivate myself to do anything else. It was the school counselor who convinced me to actually talk to someone about getting medication, and she was also the one who convinced me that I needed to talk to my parents about this, because it was only going to get progressively worse from there. Telling my parents was really hard. I didn't really have to, my counselor did, but having those conversations about what I needed and what was going on with me were, it wasn't fun, but it was necessary, because if I hadn't done that, I never would have gotten better. I also struggle to get them to understand that it's not something I could control. Some people still think that depression isn't a real thing, and that it's not that bad, or that it can be fixed by not being lazy, but it's so much more than that. Obviously, this is only my personal story, but if I'd seen something where someone was talking about having depression or having anxiety back then, when I was first starting to show signs, or first starting to actually deal with this, I would have been so relieved. I would have felt so much better about everything. If I had known then that other people were experiencing the same pain and same sadness that I was for seemingly no reason, I would have maybe been able to accept that sooner. When I first started getting bad in 6th grade, I thought that if I let people know that something was wrong with me, no one would want to be around me. So I built up this wall that I wanted to keep people outside of. I didn't want to let people know that I was hurting, because I didn't want to seem like I was weak. And that's not something that anyone should feel. Now, I know that people are actually starting to talk about mental illness, but it's not enough. It's not being talked about to the point where it's not made to seem like something is worse than it is. It's still talked about in ways, not by everyone, but by some people who believe that if you have everything, you have no reason to be depressed. You can see people living in more privileged households still facing depression. You can see people anywhere you look with depression, and it's not just because they want something to feel bad about. I know for a fact that you can have a good life and a good family and a good home and still be depressed. It's not something that you can really control. I'm still fighting depression myself. I'm not fully better, but I'm not as bad as I was. I'm seeing a therapist, and I'm willing now to admit that there is something different in my brain that's causing me to feel like this. And that I may not have complete control over everything that goes on in my head, but I have some. I have the ability now to realize that I am not I don't have to be a bystander in my own head, because I'm not my depression. I'm not my anxiety. I'm not my other problems that I have. I am a person with all of these things going on in my head, and not all of them revolve around me being depressed. As I said, I'm still fighting off depression, but I have coping mechanisms now that are actually safe. I'm not hurting myself. I'm not turning people away from me. I'm seeing a therapist so that I have a place to vent in a way that's not going to hurt other people or make them sad. And I'm able to exist and work towards getting even better than I already have gotten. really the long and short of it is, if you're depressed, or if you're experiencing some sort of hardship even, it's not the end of the world. It might feel like it while you're going through it, but in reality it's not. Things always have the potential to get better. And I hate saying that so much. The entire "it gets better" speech is bullshit. Because what a lot of people are looking for is an instant fix. And that's why so many things happen where people who are experiencing depression will go through so much shit. And they'll look for things that will make them feel better. It's not something that can be fixed very quickly. It takes time, and it takes patience. Whatever you're feeling now is real. I'm not gonna say that anything like your feelings are valid or I'm here for you, because in reality I'm not. I'm not gonna say I understand, because that's bullshit. I don't know any of you, and I don't know what you're going through. But I can say with certainty that no matter what you're going through right now, even if you've hit rock bottom, the future holds so much more. The only way from rock bottom is up. And I know that's cliche too, trust me. I've heard it all. I've heard everything in the book. At this point, I'm sure I have. But sometimes you need to hear things that are cliche. Or you need to hear things that maybe you don't even want to hear. It helps. In the end, it helps so much to find something that you don't want to hear, but you need to. If it's harmful to you, that's different. But if it's something that someone who cares about you and just trying to help you is saying, try and help you get better, that's different. Nothing is permanent, and shit may hit the fan, but some things are gonna make it through that spinning blade, and you're gonna pull through because of it. Things can't stay bad forever. I can't really think of anything else to say other than it's worth trying. Even when you're so far gone, or when you're so tired of trying, it is worth continuing. And that's all I can really say. There's ways of moving forward. There's always ways of moving forward. You just have to be willing to find those ways. And it's hard. It's so hard to find the motivation to pull yourself out. But no one can pull you out but yourself. There are medications that might help. There are people who are going to be willing to help you out, but in the end, that's all on you. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope that no matter what you're going through in your life, it gets better, because everyone deserves a chance at happiness. Everyone deserves a chance to be okay with themselves. And whether you're feeling the way you are now because you're confused, or because you're going through something that I sure as hell can't imagine, I hope it gets better for you. Because no one deserves to be trapped in their own head for that long. And no one deserves to continually be trapped in their own mind. Because all people want is to feel okay. And when they're in this state of mind, in the state of depression, all they want is to be happy. Again, because this was kind of a tangent, thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully be making more of these speed drawings. And yeah, keep your head up. Don't let anyone get under your skin, because if they're trying to, they're not worth your time. And also, remember to stay strong and continue on no matter what other people think you should do, because you're your own person.